Yes. Welcome back to the Hawks Hangout. My man Corey, what an absolute bloody week of games to get into. How good, mate?
Awesome, mate. Look at that smile. I can't wipe it off my face. Firstly, mate, how's Bali? You're looking very refreshed there.
Absolutely beautiful, mate. It's a beautiful 29 degrees over here today.
Nice.
Absolutely
sun's
beautiful.
out. I can see those guns, mate. Look at that tap. Hopefully you get another one when you're over there.
Oh, I've got a few booked in, don't you worry.
Nice. Well, it's very early in the morning over in Bali, I know that. So we're unfortunately not going to be able to do our It's a Terrible Day to Be a Beer. But that will be back next episode. But let's get into it, mate. Hawks v Melbourne. Statement win. I said I wanted to say, this is how we do it. And this is how we do it, Hawks. Absolute quality win. 117-95. Mate, what did you think? The big three were huge. Talk me through it. Let's go.
The big three, absolutely. Trawling 14-10, coming off a monster game the night beforehand, and just came out and blew the roof off again. Double. We then had Kel 23, 4 and 3, and Harvey with 25 and 9. Just an absolutely monster game from the three-headed monster of the Illawarra Hawks. We then had Lockie on a fabulous 18 points. Hickey had a blinder on 8, 8 and 3 with a plus 19 for his plus and minus. Then Wani, my man Wani, you've listened to the call, mate. You've listened to the call. I don't know if you've been watching the podcast, if someone's gotten in your ear, but on CG43, we talked about him. We talked about him on Fob Watch. Swaka the lockdown is back. 14 points on the flop of the league. Absolutely outstanding. And our bench, Corey. Our bench is back. We'll talk about it in the game last night for Brisbane, and you got to watch it live. But 48 bench points in the Melbourne United game. Now, however, our free throws, 15 from 30, so 50%. So
we'll go a little bit more in depth on that, but that was probably the only negative in that whole game. But we'll go a little bit more in depth on that a little bit later when we get to get up, get out. Mate, what an absolute performance. I would say our best win of the season. I said last podcast, this was a huge pressure game for the Hawks, and they delivered. We were worried if it was going to be close, how they'd handle it, but it wasn't close.
Hawks, it wasn't close at all.
They demolished a very strong Melbourne United side. There were signs there where CG43 was going to be on one. He hit some of those trademark tough shots that he likes to make, and I was sort of worried. He got to 14 points pretty quickly, but it was pretty similar to what happened on Cotton. He had one little stretch of amazing play, but then was just completely shot down. I know that he probably didn't play the same minutes because the game was over, but I really made a focus of watching Wani on him, and he did an incredible job when CG43 was off the ball, fighting through screens, going over the top of them to make sure he couldn't get open, challenging shots. And when you do that to CG43, he sort of sometimes takes it I want to take this on, and sometimes he can take some poor shots and make some poor decisions. And he did that, and that was on the back of Wani really locking in. And he was phenomenal defensively, especially in that second half. And that was a big reason why we ran away with a comprehensive win, I think, mate.
Now, you're saying Wani's defense. And I loved Wani's defense on him. But you don't think it had anything to do with the big, massive, giant flop watch counter in the corner of Goulding's eye, right behind the Melbourne bench the entire night. Now,
I think it might have got into his head, but usually when people get on Goulding, he's the sort of guy who goes, to show you guys I'll have a big game. So sometimes I'm a little bit worried when people try to get under his skin or get into his head, because he's a pretty strong mentally guy. And I thought, is this going to stir him up? In certain plays you don't want to stir up. And I think the two in the league are Cotton and CG43, but who knows? But I have to say, I didn't tell you this. Last night, before the game, the Hawks had a big big sign up on their screen saying that you can't get under the player's skin anymore. You got to be careful about what you're saying. So,
oh really?
I don't know if that was a little go at the flop sign, but I think it's just all in good nature. It's a bit of fun. I don't think CG43 would have taken it too seriously. Like, we want that sort of stuff at the games. It creates a bit of hype and it creates a bit of atmosphere. And that game, it was absolutely buzzing at the WEC. Probably one of the best feelings I've seen at a game. Someone got fouled off near the end, and they play "Hit the Road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more." And usually it's me and you, the only ones getting up and like waving them off to the bench. But when I got up and waved, I look across at the crowd, and there was probably 150 people, if not more, standing up and waving that player off. And it gave me like tingles. It was like so good. It was a great feeling to see that the Hawks, the WEC was actually buzzing and everyone was locked in on the game and right into it. And hopefully that can continue. We've only got one more home game, but hopefully a few more finals games as well.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of being locked in for games, how about last night, mate? Hawks versus Brisbane. So guaranteed at worst 5th spot. It was like an absolute training run, and it is the first time in Hawks franchise history. So since 1979, first time in Hawks history that they have clinched a playoff spot this early in the season.
Wow, what a stat. That's incredible. And I have to say it's a good feeling, because I know last year we were sweating right to the last round, trying to make it to those playoffs after a really slow start of the season. We were like 3-9 or whatever
2-7 we started, and we sacked Jacobus.
Yeah, and then our man JT came in and turned us around, but it was a tough job. We had to work really hard to get to those playoffs last year, and probably impacted us a little bit in the playoffs, because we're probably a little bit worn out having to play our stars a little bit more than we wanted. So it's a great feeling to have that. But Brisbane were severely undermanned, obviously without their star player and MVP candidate, Casey Prather, and their big man, or two big men really, Harrison and your man Rocco. So those three guys are out. So, but you know what? It's sometimes not easy. And the Hawks have traditionally sometimes not turned up in those games where you expect them to win easily. A great example was against Cairns, where we thought we'd just walk in and they were undermanned, missing a couple of players, and they pulled our pants down. So it was good. And I listened to the presser. JT said that was his focus, that, don't get your pants pulled down by another team who's undermanned. Let's focus, get the job done, play hard. And they did that from the start. 35-20 at quarter time. Brisbane, to their credit, came back on the back of a little spurt from Adams, where he was starting to hit some really tough shots, and I think they closed it to about 39-35, and then after that, just Hawks were just blasted them out again, and it was never in doubt. Got as big as 42, I think, which is absolutely crazy. But yeah, what did you like? This was a little bit different, this game. We spoke about the first game, but who were the big contributors, mate?
I said it before, but the bench is back, baby. The bench is back. Wani again. Huge. I do not know what has happened with you, Wani. I don't know if you've been listening to this, if you've been just grinding in the gym, but 16 points, Corey. 16 points. Big Mason Peatling, the big 6 again. 15 points. Big Lockie Olbrick, 14 points. Big Hai Young Lee. I ain't calling him Squid Game 3 no more. We're calling him Lee for 4, baby. That's 2 games in a row.
2 games where everybody missed the one on the first one, but at least he knocked it down this time for the 4. So Squid Game 4. I like it.
Squid Game 4, 12 points.
Nice.
Teddy Blanchfield, the golden boy, 9 points.
Nice little cameo.
Just nailed them. And Hickey, big Davo dog, 9 and 7. Absolutely killed it.
The deadly love bite, 9.7 assists. One great assist where on that 4-point play from Lee, where he did a beautiful cross-court pass, found him in the corner. Outstanding. But big thing, this is like, I'm not a huge plus-minus guy, because sometimes people can read into a little bit But I had a look at it just to check it out and just to see who seemed to have the better ones. And in that game, Lee was plus 34 in the plus minus. And our man, Dave O'Hickey, the deadly love bite, was plus 33. So that's huge. Those two do tend to play a lot together in rotations. So that seemed to work for us, which is great moving forward, especially if we get off to a tough start with our starters and we can bring on those guys and give us a spark. That'd be awesome. But I think one of the biggest stats for this game was the 37 assists as a team. I don't know if any other team would have had that this season. That means we're playing great basketball, we're moving the ball, it's not getting stuck in one player's hands. And it was great to see a couple of the assist leaders were two guys who are usually our points leaders. So Chell had 11 assists, which is huge, and Harvey had 7. So Harvey, in the last 2 games, has had 7 and 9, and probably not necessarily known. I know he's played a little bit of point guard, but he's playing a lot of 2 guard this year for his assists, but he was dropping dimes. And that's great because teams do know when Harvey gets in the paint, he's looking for that floater. So they tend to go to him a little bit more. So if they can keep doing that and dishing off and we're getting easy buckets off that, that's huge for the Hawks. So it's great that those 2 players are looking to get their teammates involved. But, mate, another great stat, and I know you love this one. What about our bench? Hey?
58 bench points, Corey. 58. 58. That means almost half of our points in last night's 121-point victory. 58 were the bench points. Now,
that's over 100 over the last 2 games from our bench. Huge.
Only thing is, though, our free throws.
Again.
6 from 11, so 55%. So we barely went to the line this game, unlike the Melbourne game, which credit to Brisbane for playing very disciplined basketball and not giving away too many fouls.
Yeah.
But 6 from 11. That means in the past 2 games, we were 21 from 41 from the line.
Yeah, again, that's probably the only negative, and we'll go a little bit more in depth a little bit later in the show, but I'd have to say that's the only negative. But again, there wasn't a great deal of fouls in that game. No. I think I had a look, and over the whole game, there's only 24 fouls. So that's like an average of only 6 fouls a quarter. So not many getting to the bonus or whatever. So it was a pretty free-flowing game last night. It was like, a bit of just felt like we said earlier, a bit of a training run. But just so happy to come away with that, make it 2 wins in those short little period, played 2 games in 3 days. So to come away with 2 wins and get us to 17 and 8, super pleasing. But we've got to look forward now, mate, to our next game. And that's on the 23rd, which is Thursday, against Cairns. Now, my biggest thing here is got to learn from the complacency. We had some complacency last time we played them. Cairns were obviously undermanned, but they came out ready to play and we were a little bit off. Taron Armstrong and Edwards made us look a little bit silly. They came up big. We had a couple of brain explosions as well. So we've got to understand, Cairns are capable. They've got Wardenberg back as well. What do you think, mate?
Well, I definitely think it's one of those games where we touched on it last week, but don't disrespect them because they can play. And they're eliminated from playoff contention. So the only thing that they're playing for now, which they are actually, in fact, the lead for, is the summer shootout. Now, there's only 2 summer shootout games left. There's our game against Cairns on Thursday, and then there's one more game after that. That's a summer shootout game. Now, Cairns are going to be coming out firing. That's the only thing that they can look forward to winning now is this summer shootout, getting their 50K, being like, yep, we're the winners of the summer shootout for this year. So big props to them if they can do that. But realistically, we should have way too many weapons. The day's injury, I'm not too sure what happened there last night. I did miss that. The power went out over here, so I did miss what happened. But
so what happened? I listened to the presser at the end and heard some other news from other people. It's a hamstring injury. JT said it was a little bit of tightness, but he'll get some work on it, get some X-rays and check it out. He's hopeful that it's not too bad. But I have to say I'm worried about hamstring injuries. I know hamstring injuries can be a little bit of a punish. If you're rugby league fan, Tommy Turbo struggled with his hamstrings. You don't really want hamstring injuries. They can take some time to recover. But I think it would be crazy to probably play days in this game. let him have a rest, because then if the Hawks can play hard, get the job done, we're going to have 7 days. The next game after this one, not till the 30th in Tassie, to recover. He can get some more work on that, rest up. I think it'll be a great idea to maybe just let him have this game off, just proportionally, if anything. So, yeah, what do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. We obviously did a big, massive shout out to Tian the other day, but just getting him back in there, don't risk it. We had such a great game last night where our bench stepped up for our starters, purely for the fact that it gave them less minutes on the floor. I think Tyler Harvey was the leading minutes player for the Hawks at 26 minutes. The man usually plays 30 plus minutes a game. So 100%. For him to only have 26 last night and to come off the court, for then people like Greeter had massive game time. Kobe McDowell White about 4 minutes of game time. Big shout out to the White Mamba for 4 NBL points. His first points. I bet the place was absolutely rocking last night.
It was, and the bench went off, especially Icky, obviously, both Indigenous boys, loving it, and they were so happy for him to get his first points, 4 points. So happy for him. It was great. I know he came on a couple of games ago and brought the ball up the court and turned it over and was taken off straight away. So it's good to see him turn the basket, get the bucket, get a couple of nice layups. It's going to do him confidence, and it's great for that team chemistry when you see that happen. And they're so happy for a young DP to get his first points in the NBL. So really good to see. But like you said, mate, keeping these minutes around that Harvey 26 or hopefully even less in this game. We had 8 guys last night who were around that 20-minute mark, which is awesome. So that's what we hopefully can aim for in this next game. That'd be fantastic to see. We want days again to try to recover. I sent a message to Tiana to say it's your time to shine, get him sorted. And she was like, I got this. So hopefully he can get the work done that he needs to get done, recover, and be back for us in the next couple of games, or even hopefully for the playoffs at worst. Yeah. So fingers crossed, my man. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, absolutely. Now, Corey, coming into this Cairns game, I think you've got something a little bit different for me for your multi this week. How about you give us a spiel?
I do. Well, mate, my multis have been absolutely disgraceful other than the first one. So I'm mixing it up this week, and I'm going to try and make some people some money back with a big one. Big one. It's only a 4-legger, but you'll be shocked with the price. So I'm going Armstrong. Said in previous podcasts, I rate this kid, Darren Armstrong, great player. I think potential to get to the NBA. He's got the game for it. Super crafty, great passer. Can hit that 3, get to the bucket. He killed us last time. I'm going him 15 plus points. I'm going the man who's on a bit of a tear at the moment, and I'm thinking he might play some decent minutes in this game. I'm going Lockie or Hart Aldrich. 15 plus points. Yep. Gone for 18 and 14 the last 2, so they're averaging 16 in the last 2 games. So I'm going in to go 3 games in a row around that points mark. I looked at this and I was actually going to go over, but I've changed my mind. So we looked at the previous games between these 2 teams. I'm going under because it's a big, big line, 202.5. Now, I know this is Hawks summer shootout, so they may want to go crazy and get up a big score, but I heard JT in the presser last night say he's not really focused on it. He says it's a great idea, but that's not his focus. He's not going to be telling his players go crazy and just jack up 1,000 shots. So it's not in his mindset. So, and I know sometimes in these things that happened last night, we scored 121, but the total was only 208. So, and that's with us getting 121. So that's not going to happen every game. So I'm thinking under 202.5. And our last one is he's been throwing dimes. This man, the deadly love fight, Dave Icky, I've got him 4 plus assists. Now, again, I'm a bit like Lockie. I think he might play a little bit more minutes than he usually does. So that 4-leg multi, mate, $30. Yeah, responsibly. But man, that's a juicy, juicy price this week. So we'll see how we go. I'm due. I'm overdue, I have to say. So let's see how we go. What about your get up get out for this week, my main man?
My get up for this week, and I'm going to get up for this one.
Love it.
Both games absolutely comfortably, but with different combinations, Corey.
Yeah,
Lockie and Wani stepping up, Lee stepping up, Days having his games when he needs to have his games, Hickey having his games when he needs to have his games. Big shout out to Lockie Olbrich and Mason Peatling. Like, just ridiculous, Corey. Like, it gets me so excited to see these boys playing selfless basketball.
Yeah, mate. Seriously, like I agree with you 100% there. We talked about it so much in this podcast, how we're winning in different ways. So the first win against Melbourne was the big three. So Froling, Harvey, Curl, they delivered in the big game against the team who's up the top of the table. That's what you'd expect. In the big games, you want your big guys stepping up. But in the game where we were expected to win against an undermanned team, our bench guys got the job done. Like we said earlier, like points spread across lots of people in double figures. I think we had 6 guys in double figures, 2 other guys with 9 points. That's huge. So different people ways of winning. And our big three didn't have to score that much. I think Harvey had the most points out of those 3 with 10. And we still racked up 121. So winning in different ways, mate, I have to agree. That is definitely the big get up. Did you want to shout out any particular players in that?
I got to give it to him. I've been giving him some mouth recently on the podcast, and I give him some mouth and some lip during the game days. But man, I've said it multiple times this episode. I don't know what you've done with yourself, mate, but Wani Swaka Bullock, the COVID, the lockdown, mate, get up, get up, mate. Absolutely unreal. If you're having a game with Wani, 16 points from Wani, you're not losing a game. If Wani's on a team, not losing it.
Yeah, and he's in that game against Melbourne. He was in his at his lockdown best on Goulding in that, especially in that second half. So I know you had him in your get out a couple of times. So good to see our man Wani back in the get up. Now, what about the get out?
Our free throws.
Yeah, man.
As we said, 21 from 41 over the last 2 games. Now, it didn't really matter in these 2 games, purely for the fact that we won them by comfortable margins. Obviously, that first game, 15 from 30, it's not too bad. It's, still 50%. Yeah. Last night, 6 from 11, looked not too bad considering we only had 13 fouls on our team and they only sent us to the line 11 times. So not particularly too bad. However, coming into this playoff stretch, we're coming up against teams that like to foul. We're going to come up against Perth. We're going to come up against Melbourne. We're going to come up against Southeast Melbourne. We're coming up against Tassie. We're coming up against the Queens. They're teams that like to foul, Corey. Yeah. And if we've got close games, which, potentially could be come playoff time, you've got road trips back and forth to places, particularly if we have to road trip to Perth or we've got a road trip to Melbourne or something like that. It's not particularly something that we want to be doing to have these low percentage free throw games. So in this closer kind of games, it's where we need to kind of figure ourselves out a little bit more.
I agree. I think that was definitely the big get out this week. It was the free throw shooting. We mentioned it earlier, being just over 50% over the 2 games. And still winning both games comfortably. Like, really, if we got the free throws right, we could have won both games by close to 40. So, yeah. And if we're going to have poor free throw shooting nights, you want them in those type of games when it's a blowout victory where it's not going to hurt you. So I guess that's the positive of it, but I think they need to sort it out because if we're only shooting 50% in a close game, when you look at the stats, that's going to be the reason that we're going to win or lose a game. So you don't want to be shooting 50% in a playoff game when it's close. It's going to definitely impact the result, probably in a negative way for the Hawks. So hopefully they can sort that out. They haven't been too bad from the line over the whole year. I'd like to see the stats, but I'd probably predict it would probably be about 70%. So that may have dropped that over this last 2 games. However, we are capable. Just the biggest thing for me is I hate this when players go to the line and miss both. So
Yeah.
it can have a huge swing on a game. If you think like it looks like it's going to be an easy basket, it just miss, it rolls out, you go to the line, you miss two, then the other team comes down and hits a three. It's a massive swing and it's a massive momentum shift. And we've done that a lot in the last two games, going to the line and missing back-to-back. We were lucky that they were home games. Otherwise, people would be eating cheeseburgers for days. So I'm glad that it wasn't a away game, but no more back-to-back free throw misses. Please, the Hawks. Let's sort this free throw. But, mate, last little segment this week, we're going to do another little fan question. And it's from our man, Emmy award-winning cameraman, Paul Devitt. He got an Emmy for his coverage of the war in Israel. It's crazy. He's a former Edmund Rice student. We're going to call it Emmy Rice College now. Paul's renamed it. Incredible, super proud of him. But his question is, what do you guys think are the most controversial moments in Hawks history? I'll let you go first, my main man, Sammy.
I definitely think for me, and I know talking to a lot of people, my family included, I think the biggest one, besides probably the one that you're going to talk about, is trying to drop the Illawarra name from the Hawks. Now, there was talks there ages ago when we had Gorgian in there, we had Pepper Money as sponsors, we had all of this, big new branding come in. They were trying to drop the name and trying to ship us off to Canberra and play more regional games and all the rest of it and trying to move the Hawks. Now, as the only surviving foundation club to have played every single season, to drop the name, it caused massive controversy. They only lasted 2 games with just the Hawks. And the uproar from it, the petitions that were signed from it, was just ridiculous. And it really shows the level of respect, the level of love that the Illawarra community has for the club. But for me, that's probably the most controversial moment, was them trying to get rid of it and trying to ship us off down into Canberra.
Yeah, it was a bit of a worry. I remember in my head, I was thinking, I just want us to be in the league still. I was worried about not being there at all. So I was like, you call us the Hawks, at least we're in the league. Then they started to push for the Illawarra, and I could understand it. And what made me really understand it was that there were a lot of local businesses who put money into the team who were saying, we're not going to do it if they're just called the Hawks. We love the Illawarra region. We're proud of the Illawarra region. We want to sponsor a team that has that Illawarra connection. And if it's not going to be there, we're probably not going to sponsor. And so that was a big worry for me. And then that was a push. I know Gorge really was a big push for it, and he has a lot of influence. So super proud of him getting behind that campaign and really pushing for it. He did talk a lot in press conferences about getting that name back. So he's putting himself out there, putting himself on the line as the head coach. And yeah, mate, we got it done. So I agree with you, big controversial moment in our history. But my one is a little bit further back in time. And it was when there was talk about the Hawks being absolutely done as a franchise. Basically, we're told it was over. I remember going to the last game of the season at the WEC. We weren't in playoff contention, and they were promoting us. This is the last time you're going to see the Hawks play, and it was quite an emotional game. I remember the game we won pretty comfortably, but the end of the game was a really surreal sort of feeling. I remember thinking, my kids aren't going to get to see the Hawks play again. This is a huge part of our life, and they're not going to happen again. And it was a really surreal feeling. And I remember they were desperate to try to get it back in. And Matt Campbell, did the Save the Hawks campaign. And he was trying, we look at one stage of trying to be like a fan-based or fan-owned franchise where people would contribute to try to keep them in. I know I contributed to try to keep them in, put my hard-earned money in there to try to save the Hawks. And in the end, Gujarat came in and he saved the Hawks, and it was amazing. We're back in the competition, and we've been there ever since. It would have been so sad to lose the only foundation club, but we keep ticking, and it just builds on that underdog mentality, mate. You know, everyone loves an underdog. I know we're on top of the table, but still, we've got that underdog mentality. We've struggled a lot in this franchise history, but we just keep sticking around and playing tough and playing hard. But that was probably one of the most controversial moments. Would have been tragic to lose the foundation club.
Oh.
So
I think if you had lost the foundation club, or if you had stripped the name off them, whichever way you went, you know, again, keeping that underdog status, it's what the Illawarra is about. We've always been about it, whether it's the Steelers, the Dragons, the Hawks, whatever you want to talk about. We've always had that underdog status. Bit like Tassie, bit like the forgotten cousin, very much just that underdog status, keeping us going. So speaking of Tassie, I will be posting some reels and some behind the scenes footage from when we get over there. So a little bit of a break from the podcast for now. So definitely keep your eyes out for our social media pages. You can find us on Instagram at the Hawks Hangouts. You can also find a lot of our behind the scenes stuff with a lot of our other co-hosts on the Basketball Fix. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, whatever you use, at the Basketball Fix. Now, Corey, unfortunately, that is all we have time for. That's all we've got.
Mate, enjoy your rest of your holiday in Bali. I'm missing you, mate, but it's really good to see you. Hopefully, Hawks can get a win against Cairns. Fly, you Hawks, fly high.
Bring it back, mate. Bring back the theme song.
Make the theme song.
Bring it back. All right. Let's go, Hawks.